Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel of Transition Career Solution. Today we are going to discuss ICSE 2019 suggestion for your paper Commercial Study. Commercial Study paper comprises of total marks of 80. You get total hour of 2 hours for writing time and you get 15 minutes extra for reading. Reading time, that is your 15 minutes, is allotted to read your paper carefully and for choosing your questions which you're going to attempt in your paper. Now let us look at the format of your question paper. Your question paper is divided into two sections, that is section A and section B. Section A is 40 marks and section B is also 40 marks. So 80 marks is divided into half, section A and section B. Section A is your compulsory portion where you get 4 questions, that is from question 1 to question number 4. Each question will have 5 sub-questions of 2 marks. So each question in total will have 10 marks. So 4 questions, that is giving you 40 marks. Section A is basically your short answer type of question where you need to write your answers in to the point. Moving on to section B. Section B is your 40 marks. Here you'll be given 6 options and out of the 6 questions you need to only attempt 4. Each question is of 4 marks, that is 5 plus 5 which is equals to 10. So this section also is 40 marks. Section B usually gives you long answer type questions. Now let us discuss individual chapters in detail. First chapter, you've got stakeholders in commercial organization. You need to know internal stakeholders, that is shareholders, employee and employer, their meaning. External stakeholders, that are suppliers, creditors, government and society, meaning of each. And the last topic of this chapter is expectation of employers, employees, creditors, suppliers, government and society. The question comes to differentiate between internal and external owners, stakeholders. Sometimes question comes relating to specific meaning of a term. So any type of question can come here. Chapter 2 is marketing and sales. You've got 2 topics, meaning and objectives of marketing and difference between marketing and sales. Chapter 2 has meanings and differences between a product and a service with example you need to give, and meaning and objectives of pricing. Chapter 3, that is advertising and sales promotion. You've got advertising, you need to know its meanings, importance, merits and demerits, difference between advertising and publicity, advertising agencies, their meaning and functions only. You've got social advertising media, that is concept and example. So you just need to know what is the meaning of social advertising media and example also. Sales promotion, its meanings and techniques of sales promotion. Difference between advertising and sales promotion. 4th chapter, consumer protection, features of Consumer Protection Act, right of a consumer, consumers exploitation. So you need to know its meaning and types, importance of consumers awareness. Chapter 5, which is introduced new into this year's syllabus, that is e-commerce. Introduction and benefits over traditional methods of transaction, meaning of e-tailing, e-advertising, e-marketing and e-security. These 4 terms only meaning is important to remember, nothing else. ERP and its modules. Chapter 6 is capital and revenue expenditure. You just need to know the meaning and difference between capital receipt and revenue receipts, capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. And lastly, you just need to know the meaning of deferred revenue expenditure. So over here only term is to be remembered, nothing else, with examples but students. Moving to chapter 7, that is your final accounts of sole proprietorship. You need to know the meaning and how final accounts is prepared. You'll be given a trial balance, and from the trial balance you need to put down the entry in your trading and profit loss account with balance sheet. Only closing stock as an adjustment will be given in your paper. Chapter 8 is your fundamental concept of cost, meaning and difference between fixed cost, variable cost and semi-variable cost, direct and indirect cost. So again in this chapter only the term meaning is important. Chapter number 9, budgeting, meaning and utility of budgeting, difference between forecasting and budgeting, types of budget. For types of budget, again only meaning is required to know. Now let's see what are the types of budget that you need to know. Sales budget, production budget, cash budget, purchase budget and master budget. Chapter 10, sources of finance, meaning and function of capital market, meaning and differences of shares and debentures, types of shares, that is preference shares and equity shares, cash credit, overdraft, discounting bills. Of these three only meaning is required for you to remember. Moving on to chapter 11, that is recruitment, selection and training. You need to know the meaning and sources of recruitment, advantages and disadvantages of internal and external sources with examples. Selection process, you need to know its meaning, steps involved in selection process and types of selection tests. Selection tests are part of selection process, so do not get confused with while writing the answer. When you are just asked about writing the selection test, you will just pick out the points which is relating to it. And when you are asked to write about the steps in selection process, you have to write everything from the starting till the end, how a person is selected. Next point is training, where meanings, objectives and methods of training is required for you to know. There are two methods of training, that is on the job and off the job training. Chapter number 12 includes industrial relation, trade union and social security. Let's look up the topics. Meaning and objectives of industrial relation, meaning and functions of trade union, meaning of social security, provident fund, gratuity, pension, group insurance and maternity benefit. In new pension scheme, acts are not required. You just need to know its meaning. Chapter 13, logistic and insurance, meaning and classification of logistic. Transportation includes land, air, water, which you need to see merits and demerits. Warehousing, meaning, importance and types. For types, you need to look up to three types of warehousing. One is public, private and bonded warehousing. You just need to know the meaning of these three. Meaning and type of insurance. There are four types of insurance we need to cover. Life insurance, general insurance, fire, health and marine insurance. For these three, you need to only look up to the meanings of them. Principles of insurance is important. 14 is your banking chapter, meaning and functions of central bank, difference between the central bank and commercial bank, net banking, which includes NEFT, RTGS, IMPS, mobile wallets. Of these four, you need to only know the meanings of them, nothing else. ATM, credit card and debit cards, you need to know their meaning, differences among them, and what are the cautions you need to take while you are using the three cards. The last chapter, that is chapter number 15, striving for a better environment. It includes features of Environmental Protection Act of 1986 and functions of Central Pollution Control Board. So students, we have discussed 15 chapters of your syllabus. we have looked into the important topics that you need to cover from your 15 chapters. Go through them all very nicely and thoroughly. Section B of your paper and question number 7 of this section is your final accounts. You will be getting a sum from final accounts. So here students, we are discussing the format of final accounts. Let us see it. When you are drawing the format of final accounts, it should be in grid form. As you can see, firstly you are going to start with the heading writing in the books of so and so limited. This blank I have left here for you to fill up the name of the company. If there is a name given, if there is no name given, you can present it in this way. But this is important to start. Then on the extreme left side, you're going to write debit account, that is DR. Extreme right, you're going to write CR, that specifies credit. Then you're going to write as a topic trading account and profit and loss account for the year ending on so and so. The date, that is always is 31st March of whichever year it is. Your format will have total 6 columns. One is your particular, that is the debit side, which is the first 3 column I'm talking about, that is particulars column. Then you have amount column, and then again you have amount column. The first amount column is your working column, and the next amount column is your final amount column. Again, for the second half side, that is your credit side, you have again a particulars column, amount column, and again amount column. The 2 amount column goes same way as in the debit side. It's very important to remember that in final accounts of your debit side, all expenses are to be noted, and on your credit side, all incomes are supposed to be noted. I will be discussing some of the important transactions. This format will be given to you in your description box, so you can download it from there or you can check there also. Let us see. In the debit side, your particular columns, you always start with 2 opening stock. Amount will be given, you will be posting in the second column of your amount. 2 purchases, purchase and expense. So it will be on the debit side, which will include both cash and credit. Sometimes it happens in your paper separately, purchase, credit and cash is given. So you will add up and write the amount. Why I have written this purchase amount in the first column of amount is because there is an additional entry of return relating to purchase. If there is no entry relating to return, you can write straight away over here the purchases amount. So you will less return outward, which is also known as purchase return, and your final amount of purchases will be here. Sometime in your question paper, it is already stated purchase less return, means the amount which is specified for purchase has already minus the return. Look up to your credit side, which is your income side. Buy sales. Again, sales includes both cash and credit. You don't need to specify this. If there is a return, then you're going to minus it from sales. Sales return is also known as return inward. Remember students, purchase return in your paper, that is in your trial balance, will be always in the opposite side. Like I have posted over here less return outward or purchase return in debit side, minusing purchase, but in your trial balance, return outward will be in the credit side. So you have to post it in the debit side. Same way for sales. In trial balance, sales return will be posted in debit side, but actually you're going to post over here minusing sales in the credit side, giving the sales amount. You get entries relating to wages, to carriage inward. This is also known as carriage on purchases, freight, import duty, gas, fuel, octroi, lighting, power, factory expenses, and etc. These all expenses are related to factory expenses. Remember that in trading account, all expenses only relating to factory are posted. Same way in the credit side, all incomes related to factory is stated in trading account. Buy closing stock always comes in the credit side of your trading account. If students, your credit side is less than your debit side, that is what? When in expenses is more than an income, then you occur a loss. So I have written by gross loss brought down, which is going to be transferred to your PL account. And students, when your income, that is your credit side, is more than your debit side, what happens? Your debit side becomes a deficit. That is what? Your expenses are less, so you're earning a profit. So your answer will be in gross profit. That will be on your debit side to gross profit brought down, which will be transferred again to the PL account. Please maintain the format of the paper in a neat and correct manner. Use scale and pencils, please, for drawing lines. Now we'll move on to the PL account. If your trading account is having a loss, that is your answer is being like to gross loss in credit side, then in the PL account it will be posted to the debit side, that is to gross loss carried down. And if there is a profit in your trading account, then it will be transferred to your credit side of your PL account by gross profit carried down. Now these are the entries which you are going to post in your PL account. Some of the important entries are stated over here, like for salaries, rent, rate, taxes, printing and stationery, office lighting, postage, telegrams, and many more. Carriage inward comes in your trading account, and carriage outward is stated in your PL account. Remember that. This side is some of your incomes which have been stated for discount received, commission received, interest received, dividend. If students in your trading account, in your trial balance, nothing has been stated as per whether you're receiving a discount or you're paying a discount, first look into which side it has been posted, whether it has been posted in your trial balance in the debit side or the credit side. If it's posted in the debit side, then means it's an expense, and if it's posted in the credit side, that means it's a profit. If not even there, then it is always correct to write it in the debit side, taking it as an expense. You don't need to worry about the transactions which I have stated over here. You will be able to see and download it from the PDF from the description box. Once you have calculated the both debit side and your credit side, you are going to see whether the answer is coming in a loss or a profit. Loss will always happen when your debit side is more than your income credit side, and you will have profit when only your debit side is deficit according to the credit side. So students, again, when you're preparing trading account, when you're calculating loss or profit, you need to write gross loss or gross profit. And when you're writing for PL account, you need to write net loss or net profit. The last part of your sum is your balance sheet. This is how you're going to make your balance sheet. Again, there will be 6 columns. First column is your liabilities. It will have 2 amount columns, and fourth column is your asset, which will have again 2 columns for your calculation. When you're starting your balance sheet, you'll be starting with the heading balance sheet as on the date, that is 31st March, whichever year it is given. If the year is not given, you have to write 31st March, that is 31.03, and the year you leave a blank with a dot. When you're starting your balance sheet on the liability side, you will be starting with the capital. That will be opening balance given in your trial balance. If you have a net profit, that is your PL account is having a profit, then you will add to the capital. But if your PL account is coming into a loss, you will minus it from the capital. If there is a drawings given in your trial balance, you will minus it from the capital. Students, this drawing is your personal drawing, not drawing for office related. If there is money taken out for any office work, it will come under the PL account debit side. If there is a reserve fund given, you will add to the capital. After doing the calculation, you will get the total amount of capital. Here are some of the entries of your liabilities, like bank loan comes here, sundry creditors, bill payable, bank overdraft, debentures, loan on mortgage, long-term loan, outstanding expenses, income received in advance. These are all topics which come under the liabilities. Asset side, that is your right hand side of your balance sheet, you will have the transactions like on goodwill, furnitures, fitting. Here I have shown you how you will calculate when there is a depreciation given. If there is a depreciation given in your trial balance, firstly, if you need to calculate, you will post it first in your PL account debit side stating to depreciation or whichever asset it is. And then you are going to minus this depreciation from the asset which is being depreciating, and then you're going to get the amount. There are other assets mentioned over here like plant and machinery, buildings, freehold premises, equipment, motor vehicles, bills receivable, sundry debtors, cash in hand, cash at bank, prepaid expenses, accrued income, preliminary expenses, and closing stock. Closing stocks always is posted twice. First in the credit side of your trading account and second in the asset side of your balance sheet. This is the only adjustment and entry that you need to post. Closing stock is never mentioned in your trial balance. Students, look for the closing stock entry separately in your question. If your balance sheet is not matching, that means liability and assets difference is coming. That means your sum is going somewhere wrong. See the amount difference, that is the deficit between the two, the liabilities and asset, and check again your trading and PL account. I will suggest you students, when you read your paper, that is when you are reading your sum, first draw the layout of each account. That is, first draw the trading and PL account, balance sheet. Go through the question paper, one by one post each an entry. Like if first entry is given opening stock, post it in trading account. If second entry is given furniture, post it in the asset side of balance sheet. This way you do not need to again and again read the question paper. You will save time while doing the paper and you won't go wrong. Please follow this instruction. If you don't draw your format properly, you are tending to lose marks, students. There are marks allotted for your format, heading, writing, debit, credit, for everything. If you write the date even wrong, your marks will be cut. So please see and write what you're writing in your answer. Now let us discuss some of the important questions for your commercial study paper of 2019. Here I have given some of the important questions covering your 15 chapters. All the questions are related to your text. Nothing is coming from outside the text. You can find the answer in your book itself. Let us see. First question, difference between stakeholders and shareholders. 2. Mention any two expectations of society from a business organization. 3. Difference between internal and external stakeholders. Briefly state the expectations of employee from a commercial organization. 4. What is meant by social advertising media? 5. What is pricing? Explain any four of its objectives. 6. Difference between advertising and publicity. 7. What is an advertising agency? 8. Discuss the various techniques of sales promotion. 9. Briefly explain the role of consumer courts as a grievance redressal system. 10. State 2 rights of a consumer. 11. What is e-commerce? State any 4 benefits of it over traditional methods of transactions. 12. Explain the term deferred revenue payment. 13. Difference between fixed and variable cost. 14. What is master budget of a business firm? 15. Mention any 5 points of distinction between budgeting and forecasting. 16. Difference between equity shares and debentures. 17. Explain preference shares as a long-term source of capital. 18. Explain cash credit and overdraft as sources of short-term capital. 19. Difference between recruitment and selection. 20. Explain any 5 types of selection test. 21. State 2 advantages of campus interview as a source of recruitment. 22. What are the objectives of training? 23. Describe the procedure in the selection of employee for an organization. 24. Explain the new pension scheme. 25. Difference between gratuity and provident fund as measures of social security. 26. State any 2 merits of water transportation. 27. Give 2 points of distinction between public and private warehouses. Difference between life insurance and general insurance. 29. Mention any 2 types of general insurance. 30. Explain principles of subrogation in an insurance contract. 31. Explain in brief the 5 functions of the Central Bank of country. 32. What does the term NEFT and RTGS mean? 33. Difference between a credit card and a debit card. 34. Discuss the various types of frauds. 35. Environment degradation is leading to adverse climate condition. In this context, briefly explain the significance of the Environmental Protection Act. So students, we have discussed the format of the paper. We have gone through the chapters and the relative important topics for this year's exam. I have given you some of the important questions from your 15 chapters which have chances of coming for this year's exam in your commercial studies paper. Format of the final accounts I have discussed with you. I have given you some of the important topics relating to it. Remember that students, that maintenance neatness in your paper is very mandatory. Even when you're drawing a final account sum, start from a fresh page. Do not continue half from a page. Label the format properly wherever there is a necessity of writing a topic. Draw the lines with the help of scale and pencil. Maintenance of writing to so and so, like to opening account or to purchase account in the debit side is very important, and in the credit side you have to write buy sales or buy closing stock. You need to see that balance sheet should match in order to get your sums correct. It is very important. Now students, be sure what you're writing in your paper. Point out the points which you are specifying out. Write the answers in point form if you think there is a necessity of writing. For example, writing of functions, writing of features. These answers should be written in point form. If you remember the headings of the point, then only write the headings. Otherwise, don't write some other headings. Otherwise, the whole answer will be marked as wrong. For differences, maintain tabular form of writing differences. All the best students for your paper.